Hi, this is JP Morgan.
And Lars Lindstrom.
And it's time for Trends for the Trenches. And it's
November.
Thanksgiving. So what says Thanksgiving better than a bunch of weird-shaped, wart-covered gourds? And so here we have it. So it's time for news and reviews here on the Slanted Lens. I just have one here I'm going to start off with that I thought was really exciting. This was at Photo Plus. So I just got back from Photo Plus a couple weeks ago. Yeah, great show. It was a fun show. A lot of great things there.
Do you have any celebrity run-ins?
No. Should I have?
No. It's fun.
I did. It was amazing how many people recognize the Slanted Lens there. That was an all-time high compared to what I've seen in the past. Like everywhere I went, hey, Slanted Lens.
Oh, cool.
I hate you. Get a real job.
That's good. That's fun.
Yeah, it was. It was a lot of fun.
Cool.
Anyway, this is from a company called Aputure, and they have a follow focus. It's like a joystick. And so they put a ring that's like the Metabones ring that goes between your lens and adapter. And now it controls your focus. And so you're using that joystick to pull your focus. And you can set focus points.
Like a ring?
No, it's a joystick like this.
Oh.
And you know what? I was thinking this will never work for me because I'm not a computer-aged, individual who's raised on games. But it worked really well for me.
Yeah, it's like a little thumb wheel.
Well, the harder you push it, the faster it goes. So as you let off the pressure, it kind of slides into the focus spot. It also had an A and a B, so you could, move it in, focus really well, set an A point, move it out, set a B point, and you could bounce back and forth and just bam, bam, bam. It was really nice. I don't think it's going to be great for everything, but I think there's a lot of things that would work really well with it. And they're using them in helicopters.
Yeah, aerial for sure.
Aerial stuff.
What's the range on them? A 328-foot range.
328-foot range, so there you have it.
So in the handle, is there any way to do a smaller, less joystick version that can mount on like a shoulder rig so that you've got a handle?
Well, they've got it set up so that it becomes the handle on your shoulder rig.
Oh, great. So you got like a Rosetta or quarter 20? Okay.
So you can take off the handle, put that on as a handle.
And it's wireless.
And it's wireless, and it just works off.
That's cool.
I thought it was really very interesting. I think it's one of the more interesting things I saw there, actually.
Yeah. All right.
I thought that was very cool.
Nice.
And I'm supposed to get one that we're going to play around with and just...
I think you said two, right?
Two. I'm supposed to get two so we can play around with it and see what we can do. So
yeah, very nice.
I'll work with that. So Aputure, guys, come on, hook us up.
Yeah,
see what we got. We'd like to play with it.
I like that idea. Something that's we talked about the Red Raven camera, cinema camera that's coming out. It was originally a 4K camera with a 1.8 something crop sensor, right? So it was not a full Super 35 sensor. Well, they've since come out and said we are going to release firmware for this that's going to allow 4.5K at a exact sensor size of Super 35.
Oh wow!
Which is great and they're not changing the price. The price stays the same. So $6,000 for a body gets you in, and you get that 120 frames a second, 4.5K.
So how does this compare to the Ursa Mini?
Oh well, maybe if we had an Ursa Mini to take a look at, we'd know.
Tor, come on, buddy. What's going on?
Let's get it.
I saw Tor and the Ursa Mini.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. And I played with it. Played with the viewfinder. Liked it a lot.
No, they're great.
But they don't have the 4K version out yet.
The 4.6K.
Yeah, 4.6K. So
that's the one that I am interested in.
But these sound like the same price range.
Well,
roughly.
not really, because the Ursa Mini, you've got XLR ins, you've got a monitor on board, you've got pretty much. Roughly, minus cards and batteries, you've got everything you need. But even it comes with a battery, whereas this Red camera, you got nothing.
You got $6,000. Here's the box.
Here's the box, and fortunately now you have a Canon mount that comes with it, and it's a fixed mount, but you still need a monitor, you still need media, which is going to cost a chunk of change because it's still Red proprietary, and this is the exact same stuff that you'd be using on your Red Weapon or Epic or Dragon. And so it's expensive still. So you're looking at about $10,000, $11,000. Let's get you in.
For a setup. Where if I'm going to set up two of these to shoot video with, I can get into the Ursa.
With batteries and cards, you're looking at about $13,000.
Yeah, which is a much easier number
than $20,000.
Than $20,000.
$22,000.
Well, $22,000. Yeah. So it's $10,000 more.
Yeah. So but I'm excited that they finally said, we got you a Super 35 sensor. That I think now you're talking. Okay, we're gonna get into this market.
So let's jump onto this side here. The Canon EOS 1D10.
1DX Mark II.
All right, 1DX Mark II.
Yeah. Okay.
You even heard about
it.
this?
No.
It's all on the Canon rumors here.
Great.
It'll be Canon's next full-frame camera. We expect it to be shipped before NAB 2016.
Great.
So it's the EOS 1DX Mark II.
Did anybody buy the 1DX Mark I?
There's that one guy in Iowa.
There's
Didn't
that guy in Iowa. What was his name? Ranger Bob?
I think it was Ranger Bob.
Ranger
Bob's
Bob.
friend, Pig Farmer Ted.
That's who. I love that guy.
I do too.
His comments are so
They're
great.
the best.
You just hang in there, Pig Farmer Ted.
Pig Farmer Ted.
1DX Mark II. It's a camera for you. So, but what's the rumors? What do we got?
It says 20 megapixel CMOS sensor, 61 points of autofocus, which is
it's
really
the same
good.
as the Mark III.
Yep.
Yeah.
16 frames a second, 20 frames in live view.
What? You might as well just shoot a video raw.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
4K at 60.
60p. Now we're talking.
Yep.
4K internal 60p. This is what we've wanted for a while. So either buy this camera for video or just buy a C300 Mark II at that same price point.
Yeah, the C300 is going to be set up more as a video camera.
And it's got it. They really, I think, did a really great job on the C300 Mark II. But I mean,
what kind of price range?
It's like 16,000.
16,000.
Yeah, at NAB they were saying it might be 20, which I thought was ridiculous.
But this has got a full frame sensor. The
C300 is at 1.6, right? So I mean, it's for still photographers, it's gonna be a great camera. Photographers that want video capabilities.
It's still 20 megapixel. It's just a 20 megapixel sensor.
Is that all?
Yeah, so you're not going anywhere. It's no better than the Mark III. Actually, yeah, it's no better than the Mark III. So it's kind of like,
what's the point?
that one shocked me. I'm hoping I'm not seeing that right, because unless you're getting up into a 40 megapixel sensor.
Well, I'm wondering if they're doing low light sensitivity more.
Well, that's the thing in here. They're saying that everyone wants this 15 stops of dynamic range.
Low light.
They want super low light. Super low light capabilities, so they're probably fighting that battle of we can't really push this into a 40 megapixel sensor.
Increasing the pixel size on the sensor rather than increasing the pixel amount.
Yep.
And I'm all for that game. I like that. So I mean, if you consider the A7S had a 12 megapixel sensor, 20 megapixels for a full frame, you're probably in a very comfortable world. And if you can increase your dynamic range with your IO sensitivity by a stop or two, then I think it's worth it.
But what do you think this camera is going to go for?
15,000.
Exactly, exactly. So,
which, I mean, so it's such a specific niche. It's not for me. I don't think it's for you.
Not for me. No, not for me.
Yeah.
So they've got to, I don't know. Maybe they'll make some changes in those specs. Maybe it'll move up, but who knows?
Maybe the price will drop.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
Hey, I thought this is
yeah.
The DJI bought a minority stake in Hasselblad. Earns them a place on the board. They infused money into Hasselblad. So there you have it. So there's the market. When I started in still photography, Hasselblad was the king of the world.
Yeah.
And now they've gotten to the place where a drone company is infusing money into Hasselblad to keep them alive, which is really interesting.
And what would DJI have any interest in Hasselblad for?
Optics, I don't know. That's a really interesting question.
Wow.
The reason they're doing this is to make cameras for their drones. You're going to get a Hasselblad type cam. I don't know. That's my guess. It's going to be a huge thing like this.
It's medium format and it's German.
It's German and it's very sharp.
Very sharp.
The copter's now like this. It's a small military drone.
Yeah. And we don't just shoot steals.
Stoot steals?
Stoot steals.
We're offending all of our German listeners.
We sure are.
We apologize for our absolutely awkward German accents.
Awful German accents.
Super geil.
I feel
like my daughter says I should never say. But
yeah. And there it is. Super geil.
I have no idea.
I had a German roommate, so I feel like I can, I'm allowed.
Hey, my daughter speaks fluent German. Lived in Germany for several years. So.
There you go.
Yep.
There you go.
So there you have it.
Cool.
Actually, we have a great following in Germany. We do.
We really?
We absolutely do.
Hey, guys.
We do indeed.
Great.
So shout out to all those in Deutschland.
Deutschland. The U.S. Department of Transportation and the FAA have now said that they are going to require all drone owners both hobbyists and professionals to register their aircrafts.
Oh, wow.
Which means they have to, we don't know yet, maybe take a test, they have to register it, they have to prove that they know what they're doing, but they have to be educated on the matter now before they can fly. And I don't know if this, like in your backyard, like does that still apply? Like, so, but they have come out and said, yeah, we understand that there's been some confusion because it's very confusing, so we're just going to make it across the board. You have to register your craft and you have to learn how to fly.
Is that the case for people who do model airplanes, the remote control airplanes?
No,
they
I don't
all
think
have
so.
to. They don't.
I don't think so.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's like that was never an issue, right? You can go.
Yeah,
to any,
you're not
like,
flying those out of. I mean, helicopters are so easy to fly from anywhere.
Yeah. So I don't know. You know, it just sucks that like there's people that would go to an airport with a drone and like I want to get like in there and like give me some like pretty footage for this thing and it's like. Oh, like you guys, like you ruined it for the rest of us.
Stupid people, you're ruining things for the world.
So I don't disagree with this rule necessarily, but if they're going to enforce this, then I think the U.S. Department of Transportation, the FAA, needs to ban birds from the United States.
Birds, all birds must have.
They must be registered. Birds.
Sorry, sir. Sorry there, Crow. You do not have a band on your wing.
I think we should put a giant net around the entire United States.
No birds allowed.
No unregistered, unauthorized birds.
Okay.
That's what I think.
Okay, going on here. Going on from the bird-netted United world. Sony's new Cameron rumor. Have you heard this?
No.
Neither have I.
Okay.
No. According to the report over on Sony Alpha Rumors, the same source that told us about the A68 announced has come back with another rumor about a secret Sony camera. The kicker here is that all they know was that the camera could be announced between October and March, and that it was so secret that no one outside of Sony Tokyo knew anything about this camera.
It's so secret that even Sony doesn't know about this camera.
And obviously there's a guy who's writing something saying there's a camera. So obviously he knows.
Yeah.
So somebody knows. So the rumor thinks it could be an A9.
Okay.
Or Sony true mirrorless full frame camera developed for the professionals. That's what
they have.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that means.
I don't know how to break it to you guys.
We know that Sony, according to what they've done, and I'm just extrapolating from what they've done, they are not dumb, and they know that if they don't keep jumping ahead, that eventually Canon and Nikon, some of these other manufacturers are going to jump into the market.
We should probably warn Canon, actually.
I don't think Canon's worried. I don't know what the deal is.
We should probably let them know.
They don't seem worried like they should be worried. Canon, we're warning you now. Get into the mirrorless world, or you're in trouble.
I'll bet they're making so much bank on the C300 Mark II. In the video world, I'll bet they're making tons on that thing.
You think so?
Oh, it's like sold out everywhere. And suddenly, like everybody was like, no, we don't want it, until like it became available, and then it was just like, we want everything. So I think they're gonna make a lot of money. I think because I didn't realize that the C100 or C300 Mark I was the most rented camera.
The C300 Mark I?
Yeah, more than the Red, more than the Alexa, because you have it's so versatile, right? You can do documentary, you can do narrative, you can do commercial, and you can do reality on a camera that just looks good. And so you take that same kind of functionality and you give it internal 4K, you give it slow motion, you give it better bit depth and dynamic range, and you're gonna sell a bunch.
Yeah. So you think that's the next step?
For me?
Yeah, no, for the C300. 4K and...
Oh, that's what the C300 Mark II is. Yeah.
Okay, now I'm on board here. I'm with us now. Yeah. Well, the problem still, though, is the price tag. I mean, you really are you're in a professional...
Yeah. So I've been using, on this film I'm shooting right now, we're shooting on the Alexa, but we're shooting on anamorphic lenses, 2 time to squeeze anamorphic lenses on a 16:9 sensor. Long story short, in its native format would be a 3.2 to 1 aspect ratio, which is like you might as well just squint in the movie theater.
Exactly.
Just like scan your head back and forth. So we decided to crop in, we wanted a 2.7 to 1 aspect ratio, which is still wide, but in order to do that, I wanted more resolution than 2K, because then I would have been cropping the sides pretty heavily. So we're recording ARRI RAW, which is 2.8K, on an Odyssey 7Q Plus. And it works great and it looks amazing. I'm so happy with the images.
Really?
So happy. Oh, it's been so fun. so far. We're a week into 2-week production. So
Can you send us a clip?
I've got some stills on my phone. I'll send you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can put them up. Show them. Yeah,
that'd be great.
absolutely.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting stuff.
All right, well, I'm pushing on here.
Yep.
I'm going to go to this. Pocket Wizard just introduced a new Pocket Wizard transceiver,
Okay.
which is great because it has all of your TTL kind of connectability, so you can run a couple other TTL flashes, but it's also got a hot shoe on top of it. So you put it on the camera, you can put a TTL on the camera, and you can run a couple of others off the camera.
Cool.
I was going to today, but I don't think they have it. I don't think Ken has one because he's not up to date here. A Pocket Wizard
+4.
+4. No. Okay. So we don't have the Pocket Wizard +4 because it was just announced. But what I asked the people at Pocket Wizard, and they said, we don't know because we haven't tested it, but I want to test it. I want to be able to put this on my camera, and I want to put on top of it my the device that talks to my Bajas.
And see if we're starting to get how much weight's out.
Well, no, not that. I want to be able to control my Bajas with the Baja control, so I can dial them up and down. And I'd like to be able to control also a small Canon flash.
Oh, interesting.
I would have used it in Gettysburg.
Yeah.
Because in Gettysburg, I had 2 Bajas shooting, and I had a small flash in the lantern that Lincoln was holding.
Yeah.
And so I had to go to just all Pocket Wizards. I couldn't use the transceiver. I couldn't use the receiver that's going to control the Bajas because it wouldn't talk to the Canon flash.
Oh, interesting. That'd be great.
So I don't know that if it will work or not. I don't know. They said they weren't sure. They said they didn't seem very promising about it. But they haven't tested it.
But that's
I'll test it.
Try it out.
Next month I will test it and see if it works. So
great.
They've been the leader in wireless control of flash units from the beginning. I've had
that's
them
all you
since the
use,
very beginning.
right?
That's all I use.
Yeah.
That's all I use. And I'm sure there's a lot of other stuff out there, but that's all I've ever used.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they're great.
It's extremely reliable. It's great stuff. What else you got?
What do you think about this YouTube charging subscription? Have you heard about this?
No.
So YouTube has announced that they're doing, and I think it's actually in full steam, but they're doing $10 a month for no ads. You get no ads on any video. And then on top of that, they have exclusive content that they're starting to release. So feature films and then like reality-type TV shows of YouTube stars, right? So they have a new show that's exclusive called Scare PewDiePie. And he's like one of the top YouTube people, right?
No.
One of my buddies camera operated on the show. But yeah, so they're doing like a $10 a month. What do you think about it?
Wow, it's interesting. What do I think about it? I think it's going in the direction of everything else, that whole platform, like Netflix and everything else is going. That is, when you get an audience captured, you now have to create content. Content that is going to feed your audience. And their content, they don't have any control of their content. It's all over the place. But
how do you feel? I mean, like, there's
how's
YouTube
that going to affect us?
How's it going to affect the YouTube audience? Right, so the YouTube audience creates that content so that they can be paid from YouTube with the ad revenue that they get. So now YouTube is making $10 a month. Do people get some of that money on their channels where people watch it?
If I'm creating content for them and they're not going to pay us to create content, then what's the why am I creating content?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm creating free content for YouTube and we're not getting compensated for it. Although I can say right now, I mean, the amount of money that we make from our ads is not huge.
Right.
It's not the major driver of the slanted lens.
But there's like, artists like Lindsay Sterling, for example, just had an article released that she made $6 million in ad revenue last year.
Wow.
It's like, that's, an ad revenue in her tour dates.
They're not going to cut somebody like that off. They're going to make accommodations for her.
Totally.
Because she's on a level that they can't afford to lose.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but I wonder, though, because there's like middle people that aren't making $6 million, but they're making maybe 6 figures or, just under, that's their living, right? And they create content so that they can get paid from the ad revenue. So is YouTube, with this $10 a month offset, let's say everybody moves to that eventually in the future, are they going to be able to pay those people the same amount to continue creating that content? So I don't know. So don't know how I feel about it. For me, I don't think, if you look at like what Netflix provides for $8 a month,
that's pretty substantial.
I'll watch a couple ads. I don't care. Like, I like ads. I'm in the ad business. Like, I enjoy them. That's me. But like, I don't know if $10 is, if you're giving me enough incentive to move to that platform.
Well, there's a whole group of people out there that make their living creating ads for YouTube. I met with a bunch of them at a conference I was at, and this is going to hurt them a lot.
Absolutely. So it will move to entirely soft branded advertising.
Yeah.
Right? So you have your artist, there's a musician on YouTube, then all of a sudden they're doing, they release on their channel like an ad where they're playing with like you know, their guitars, and all of a sudden they take a break and they drink a Coca-Cola and they go back to it. Like that's we're seeing more and more of that. There's whole production companies set up to contact YouTube people just for that.
Which works great for huge companies like Coca-Cola. Does not work great for smaller companies. Like most of the camera manufacturing companies, if they don't see a direct return from what they do on YouTube and that, they can't justify the dollars. You know, they're not out there saying, well, as long as everyone holds my bag, you know, it just doesn't have the return that they need. So. So they want to become a Netflix. Well, we all know right now there's just a huge vie for who's going to deliver content online.
Yeah,
you
and
know,
we're
you
so
got
spread.
Hulu,
You know,
you
it's
got
like
Netflix, you got
Amazon.
I mean, you got everybody in that game, and we know that's where it's going to go. I mean, that was the statistic that I got at that conference I was at. 70% of the delivery of content, all content on the internet will be video in the next several years. Like, they had 2 years before that'll happen.
That's great news for us.
70% of content delivered will be video, which means your video content's going to explode. But it means also that you're going to be looking at the latest feature film there. Everything's going to be there.
It's crazy, but that's the reality.
Yep.
It's like I'm talking to producers right now about making movies, specifically non-theatrical release movies, and that's like a good thing all of a sudden. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're like, no, it's okay. Like, we'll have a platform, but we don't want to do a theatrical release. We want this to be YouTube or Hulu or Netflix or whatever. You know, it's like have them buy it outright. It's an interesting world.
Yeah.
But yeah.
See, I've already started. I've been prepping my dad. I've been sending him articles or sending him questions he has to answer, and I'm going to do a documentary on my father.
You should. He's
a
such
very
an interesting
interesting
guy.
character. So.
Yeah.
But anyway. Okay.
Do you have anything else?
Do I have anything else?
Yeah.
We weren't going to mention, but I'm going to say it. There is a rumor out there that they're going to give an upgrade to the A7 line to shoot RAW. That's very, very sketchy rumor.
I wonder
sketchy.
though if they mean output RAW. It must be.
Hey,
if
it would
RAW.
output RAW to
your Assassin Ninja.
I would be thrilled.
That'd be amazing.
Absolutely, I'm on board.
Yeah.
Be
amazing.
absolutely.
Sony RAW and the Assassin Ninja, because it's free. It's like the Odyssey charges for that. The RAW, if you want the RAW bundle, so you can shoot Canon, Arri, Sony RAW, it's $1,000. And so, but the Atomos is doing it for free.
Yeah, I love that.
That'd be
so we'll see where that goes.
Great.
Here's the thing: SanDisk just bought Western Digital for $19 billion. So SanDisk just bought Western Digital for $19 billion.
Oh my gosh, that
so
is
now you've got. I think it's an interesting acquisition because now you've got cards and your media, but you're going to have the backup system that can grow into a kind of a workflow application that'll make those two work together. I don't know.
Have you heard? Speaking of hard drive in space, Amazon has this new thing called the Snowball. Have you seen this?
No, you talked about it to me sometime.
No. This is different.
It is?
The Snowball, for $200, they'll send you a 50 terabyte drive. 50 terabytes, and it's just it's like a metal house, right? For $200, and you rent it, right? For $200, they send that to you, and you upload everything onto it, and you send it back, and they digitize it, they put it in storage, and then you have access to it online.
And how much do they charge a month for that?
I'm doing $5 a month for my unlimited storage.
I need this because I have
50
no less,
terabytes.
No, I've got 70 or 80 terabytes.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, I just bought another Drobo.
See, and how much did the Drobo cost? Like $2,000?
Well, I had an old Drobo that was one of the early ones, and all the drives died. It died. The box died, and I had already backed it up, so I bought a new drive and I put in all the drives in it. But it was $650. $650 just for the box. But I could buy 2 of those drives for $400 and get it all on. And then it's not at my house. Like we're out at Gettysburg this last week, having a fabulous time photographing there, Julian and I, and our motion sensor goes off in the middle of the night, and so we're freaked out.
You get the phone call.
You go, send the police over. The police they go over about 3.5 hours later.
No way.
Yeah. So they give the criminals enough time to get everything.
Wait, so
leisurely get everything and have a little bit of a lunch. No break-in. We think it was our dog.
Okay.
But anyway,
yeah.
I would just it's interesting. All the stuff I have, all the equipment, everything I have. The thing that scares me to death the most is would they grab those Drobos off from our computer desk there and run out the door with them, and there goes all the current jobs we're working on, the current things we're editing. Everything goes right out the door, and it just freaks me out. So I'm calling this Snowball when I get home today.
It's
Snowball.
Snowball.
Snowball,
Amazon.
did I say?
$200. They send you a 50.
I'm
Just get 3 of
calling
them.
them today.
Or two of them. Just
Two of them. I'll just
and they
back everything up to
and
them.
they back it up. When you send it back to them, it takes them less than a day to get it backed up. I have mine set up on my phone. It's set up right now where I just like when I plug it in at night, it just all the photos I took for the day, all the information just goes straight to the cloud. So I'm sure there's a way with their desktop app, and if there isn't, they need it to be able to do that. Yep. Leica, the Leica SL camera. You see that?
No.
Leica is getting in the mirrorless game. They have a mirrorless full frame camera. It's called the Leica SL. It's basically an A7S. is basically what it is. Mark II, because it has internal 4K at 24 frames a second. It does 120 frames a second, slow motion at HD, 1080p. But the one thing it does have, which I don't know if the Sony has, is 10-bit 422 output capabilities. And I don't know, it might be 420 on the Sony?
Well, I get myself mixed up because we shoot everything on the Assassin. The
Right,
422 there, we have that there, but I don't.
So it may be. I just don't know the output on the Sony A7S. Please put in the comments if you know the output capabilities or quality on the A7S Mark II.
Yeah.
And the disadvantage, though, of course, is that it's a $7,500 camera for just the body. So
well, that's a Leica.
It's
They're all
Leica.
like that.
Yeah, they're all like that. So if you're in the Leica game, if you're into the glass, if you enjoy the superior still image quality,
Oh, which is fabulous.
it is, then that'll be a great little camera if you want to be able to do some video as well.
Yep. So there you have it. News and reviews for the month of November.
Yeah.
So if you want to keep the Slanted Lens on air, you got to go to sammys.com/slantedlens and just click on it there. See what's going on there. Let yourself be known. Check out the offers they have, some of the things that are going on that page. So
I like doing this. I love doing this.
yeah,
Yeah.
Absolutely,
I'd love
me
to
too.
continue doing this.
I would too.
Yeah.
But this will be our last month unless we get a good response. So this is the month that we find out. So go to that page. Click on. So it's sammys.com/slanted lens. Not the slanted lens, slanted lens. So check it out. Click on it. Keep us on the air. Hey, I do have a T-shirt that's coming out.
Do you really?
I do finally.
Is it good?
I'm not showing you any T-shirt I have coming out.
Just give it to me for Christmas.
You don't even get. You don't even get to look at the T-shirt.
I want the old one for Christmas. That's what I want. Hello. I want that one for Christmas.
You are.
Yeah.
I am personally offended.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay, so it's time for mail.
Oh, how about that?
How about that? It just happens to come in a little flamingo here.
There it is. Here, I'm gonna just jump right in.
Jump
here.
right in.
All right, Leo Cavallini said, one can also use a pony clamp to hold the pipe on the stand, making 90-degree angle. I use it a lot this way. This is talking about the backdrop video that you had.
So I said you have to drill this hole with a drill press. And I said certainly you have a drill press, or your friend has a drill press, or your mother-in-law has a drill press.
Right.
Obviously.
Yeah. Obviously. He says you can also use a pony clamp, which is an A clamp or a grip clip or whatever you want to call this. Great. Thanks.
There you go. All right. Zarla Win.
Zarly
Win. One thing that I'm using now are magnets. I screwed a few strips of metal into the wall in my studio and used some really powerful magnets to hold the backdrop up.
Cool.
You've never heard that
Great
before.
idea.
If it works, if they're
Yeah,
powerful enough,
it holds it.
like those strip magnets, and just drop them
Yeah.
on there. That's a
Man.
fabulous idea.
This camera's probably.
All right,
used all the
Zarla Win,
time.
you get the absolutely get the tip of the day there. That's something I will explore that.
Magnets.
Send us some pictures. Send us some little information.
Magnets.
And yeah, love that.
Photogord said, how do you handle/store your cloth backdrops? This is a great question. To make them easy to handle and be mainly wrinkle-free. I do use a clothes steamer to remove wrinkles once it is hung, but it would be nice to reduce these. A couple of these questions.
I have worked with backdrops for 30 years, man, and there is only one way to store them, and that is you just buy 4-inch or 3-inch PVC pipe and you roll them on pipe. That is just the only way to store them. I have along the whole back side of my garage, I built a backdrop rack.
Yeah.
And there's about 60 backdrops in there, and you just roll them on the pipes and put them in and tape them. That's the
amazing.
best way to do it. If you fold them, and there's a company in LA you used to get folded backdrops from, they're just awful. You know, great backdrops, but they folded them, and they're just so wrinkled and such a mess.
Were they canvas backdrops or cloth? Oh,
It was
you
just
can't.
impossible.
And just keep in mind that if you are going to use backdrops, you should do a pre-day load in and setup because you want these things to hang. 'Cause there's going to be, especially on canvas, there's going to be wrinkles that you just can't deal with. You just gotta let it hang for a little bit.
And the more weight on the bottom. The best way to get the wrinkles out, I'm telling you, the easiest way is you hang it, you put weight across the bottom, and you try to tie and stretch the side. And then with a Hudson sprayer, you just put it on very light mist, and you mist the entire back of the backdrop. And overnight, it just stretches and all the wrinkles and everything goes away. So that little bit of water on that, not a ton, don't soak the thing.
Yeah.
You know, just a little mist
Just
on
a
the
hose.
back,
Just
and
get a
then
hose
as it dries, it gets really, I do not do the fire hose.
I use some of your backdrops,
Yep.
and they were great, man. The music video turned out amazing.
For 20 years of those backdrops are in pretty good shape. So,
I'd say so. Yeah, they were great, man. So cool.
there's what you do.
Love it. Pedra 12.
Pedra 12, awesome video. I would love to see more videos on backdrops. So we'll do more videos on backdrops. A couple of things I want to talk about: different canvases, different cloths, and just some ways to hang them and to use them. So we'll do more of that.
AC Pushkin said at 3 minutes and 30 seconds, no need to drill holes. I put a T-shaped plumbing thing on a regular stand. So a T-shaped plumbing thing is the technical term. It just works great.
The T-shaped plumbing thing is actually a positive piece of equipment.
You can't.
But it's got to be.
I never leave home with my T-shaped plumbing thing.
T-shaped plumbing thing. But you know what? I can see where he's going.
Yeah.
If that. You just stick that on the stand and you run your pipe through it, I guess.
I'd be
Makes a lot of
nervous.
sense.
I mean, how are you going to clamp it down onto the stand, though? That's the only thing I'm
It's going to pop out the stand a little bit, yeah. So
Yeah.
you'd have to put a drill. You could drill a hole in it and Gorilla Glue a nut and then put a screw through, and that would tie it on there.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, something like that would be great. Robert Martinu said, if one doesn't have a drill press, then call your mother-in-law.
Call your mother-in-law. She obviously has one.
If one doesn't have a drill press, one might consider super clamps. Great. Yeah.
Super clamps. A-clamps.
A-clamps,
Super
super clamps, grip clamps, pony clamps. Man, these are...
On the bottom down here is where it hooks into your stand, and then that just grabs a hold of your pipe.
Love those. Super clamps. Or
So
Maker
that's a great
clamps.
solution. These things are like $30. They're not super expensive. Yeah. So that's a great solution, and your mother-in-law doesn't even have to have a drill press.
Oh, the best. Okay.
Priscilla, 1969. Always straightforward. Useful info from JP. I'm looking forward to your next on the shoot video. These are always my favorite. Well, thank you very
got
much.
a fan. Look at that.
Portrait lighting. Hewick. Hey JP, I love your channel and check it out often, either to up my game with new knowledge or review the basics. Thank you for taking the time to provide such clear and concise information. One question, if I may though, why did you omit short lighting? I was waiting to see your thoughts as to that. That's one of my favorites, and when you mentioned not favoring broad lighting, thought you would touch on the short. Do you prefer the short either? Do you prefer the short either?
Do not prefer the short
Oh,
either.
do you not prefer the short? Thanks for being awesome. I think you were talking about the same thing. I call loop light is basically a short light. When you take the loop when you move the light around on the person's face and this break away from a Rembrandt, and you get this small loop on the face. A loop light is a short light, which is very similar. I think that's what we're talking about there. And so I think it's a gorgeous look, absolutely, because you don't always have that light so deep to one side of the camera. If you want to bring it in, it's going to make your face a little brighter, a little more broader, and so a short light is a pretty light, no doubt.
Not a pro.
Not a pro. I love it.
Sorry, off topic. You guys are the Tamron Kings. What's up with the new 35 and 45 VC lenses?
Hey, I just shot with them out in Gettysburg and loved. I mean, I'm more and more in love with it all the time. Like you say, I shot a couple of times at 2.8, but I wasn't wide open. But they're just beautiful.
The sharpness is crazy. When you have a lens that opens up to 1.4, when you stop it down 2 stops, you're starting to get into the optimal.
Oh, these things are pretty sharp, like, right up.
Yeah,
you get pretty wide open. They're very sharp. So
yeah,
really nice.
Good bokeh.
Good bokeh.
At 2.8.
At 2.8, yeah. Okay, learning how to feather softboxes from Rebecca S. Can you recommend a softbox brand with more of a yellowish, flattering light? Interesting, yellowish, flattering light. I would just really think, put some gel on it. And
quarter straw is great.
There's a great kit that Roscoe makes. It's called. Help me out here. It's skin tones. There's one kit for skin tones. There's another one for.
Do they make the gel? Just the Roscoe gels you just buy because the softbox is big. It's a 2x3.
But you just put it inside. The gel color, if you put it on the face, is way too strong.
Oh,
But
really?
if you put it inside over the
Let it
flash
kinda bounce
tube,
around a
then
little
it,
bit.
it softens and it's a nice color.
Nice.
If you put it up front, like a full CTO on the front of a softbox, it's like
Just gonna be orange.
2 layers of CTO. It's huge.
Really?
Yeah, it's really harsh. It's
No
really
kidding.
hard. Yep.
I didn't know that.
Much different look.
Hi, I'm curious to know where or how you got these galvanized tripods. I am an Aputure photographer and would like to set some things up to take pics of my kids and family. What galvanized tripods are you
It
talking
must
about?
be my old
Gitzo?
Gitzo machine
your
gun mount
machine
tripods.
gun Gitzo tripods.
Those things are tanks.
Yeah,
The
they're
problem
30
with those
years
things
old.
is they will never, ever go away.
That's the truth.
It's like-
That's the problem with them is that they always exist.
And they are so heavy, but
Yeah.
they don't make them anymore. You can buy them used. If you get online and look around, you can probably buy them used on eBay or
Gitzo,
So
though, is
Gitzo,
the-
it's a Gitzo tripod, Gitzo.
Yeah.
And they're heavy duty.
Okay. Camera movement tutorial. Do you remember which one that was?
Yep.
Okay.
You and I shot that together.
Yeah, we did.
That's like our 4th or 5th most watched video ever.
Really?
I bet every film school, every professor's going, what can I show my class? Oh, here's one on movement.
They didn't even watch it beforehand.
Exactly.
There's a movement here. Let's talk about it.
No, it's a great video. It talks about the emotion of movement.
Flex Fitness Personal Training. This is the person
Okay.
that commented, which is exciting. Okay, it's a great video, Slanted Lens. What LUTs and grading tools did you use for the final look in the video thumbnail? Yeah,
It was
so
all
we.
shot on Mark II, so there's no Lutz or there's no.
JP still doesn't understand what a LUT is.
Oh, give me a break. What is a LUT anyway?
You know what it stands for?
It's a luminous. No, I have no idea.
It's a lookup table, which doesn't make
It's a
any sense.
lookup
Yeah,
table,
yeah.
exactly.
So yeah, we didn't use any LUTs.
No.
We just did some contrast and color saturation, I think.
All right, so now shooting a documentary style interview. Darren Tulver, what lens are you using for this shoot? When I set up a 2-camera interview, I set up 2 lenses, like 24-70 usually, and I'm going to run it somewhere between 50 to 70, and then a 70-200, and that's going to run somewhere between 135 to 150, even to 200, depending on how it sets up.
Yeah.
That's
And
my thing. Do you do anything different?
No, we have the Tamron lenses. We're using the 24-70 Tamron and the 70-200 Tamron, and
Yep.
it depends
It's a
on what
nice
I'm doing.
cut, you know, between those two.
So when I do documentaries, when I do like the run and gun portion, you know, where we're actually like out and like showing like what they're doing, I'll have a zoom lens like a 24-70 or 70-200. But then when I sit down and do interviews, I'm so in love with the prime look. I love that soft focus. I love shooting at a 2.8 on a lens that opens up to 1.4, just because that optimal sharpness, right where
in the
like you hit
spot.
the focus, but then the background still has plenty of room to go out. And so I like shooting on
Well,
prime
I'm
lenses.
hoping that Tamron will have a 75 or an 85 millimeter lens next year,
great.
prime. You know, 1.4 or 1.8.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now you can use that as your medium shot,
Right.
and still use that 70-200, which is still a gorgeous lens.
Oh, see, I have no problem using an 85 as my close-up.
Really?
Oh, I love it. So 50 I'll back up just a little bit. 85 I'll put just in front a little bit. And then the person's face will be over here that they're talking to. So you want, because like the wide, you have a little bit more forgiving, right?
Yep.
And so,
Yep. Well, there you have it.
Yeah.
2 different thoughts on those two lenses as you do a 2-camera setup.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, where are we at now?
Freezing action with strobes.
Okay, Saul Gonzalez says, hi, thank you for the video. One question. Do you think it's better to go with the B6 instead of the B4 for freezing action, or is the B4 enough? There is not much information about the product.
You know, the B6 versus the B4 is you're just talking about flash duration, and you're obviously when you dial the power down, you're going to get a faster flash duration, a shorter flash duration, which means you're going to freeze action better. So if you're shooting, you can take the B6 and you have the more power you need, but then dial it down to 400 watt seconds, you're going to get a very similar flash duration.
Yeah.
While the specs of the Baja B4 are impressive, wouldn't the Baja B4 be enough to achieve that same result? Or maybe I just want to hear this because I'm thinking to get the Baja B4. You know, 320 ISO, 640 ISO is the difference between a Baja B4 and a Baja B6 and achieving what you want to achieve. So, yeah, you can absolutely get it with the Baja B4. I mean, you can. You
Yeah.
get those same results.
That-
you can.
that
now,
same-
I
yeah.
don't love the Mark III. I do not love the Mark III. I shot at 640 on the stuff I did of Lincoln out at Sunset, and I'm going to put film grain on it to help because of the digital grain that's on it. It's not a gorgeous look in a still image. You see the digital artifacts starting to. You see it. The grain,
noise. You see the noise.
You see the
in
noise.
the shadows.
Absolutely, in the blacks. And I was shooting at sunset, so I'm got a lot of black.
Wow.
And so you just see it. So I like 320 at the most, and 160 is my favorite. So.
In that same video, Alex Peter asked, "How do you match the different color temperatures?"
Interesting he says that because the Baja before is daylight matched, and we're shooting in daylight, and so the match is very easy. I mean, we were there.
If you want, I mean, there's lots of Roscoe corrections. You know, if Roscoe makes gels, if you want to warm it up a little bit, straw or CTO, it's color transfer orange. It's just a good look.
That's
so
the whole creative
levels.
process. Don't match them. Do something interesting with it.
Yeah.
Hernan Rodriguez, we're going to have his interview on. I did with him. He changes the colors in the shadows on everything. He's doing a really interesting process, and we'll have that posted, showing how he uses different colors, on the key lights versus the other lights in the shot. So So don't be afraid of that matching process. It'll work out fine.
Yeah. JK said, "You guys stated you can get to 11 or 12 stops of dynamic range. What does that mean, JP?"
October trans.
On what? 11 or 12
stops of dynamic range is the amount of light, what you can hold in an image from shadow to highlight. If you've got 15 stops of dynamic range, you can point the camera. That's just a lot. Just about anything, it's going to hold. But when you don't, like on film, when I used to shoot film, like 100 Ektachrome. It did not have 15 stops of dynamic range.
So when we say stop, it means every stop of light. So when you stop down your lens from a 2.0 to a 2.8, that's one stop. 2.8 to 2.4, so there's that's half the amount of light. Is that correct? Half?
One stop.
One stop is
full. It's a full
amount of light, right?
Yeah. It's 100% of light.
Yeah, it's literally half of the power.
Yeah, so
we're doubling the power.
Yeah, so when you stop down a lens from a 2.8 to a 4, that is half the amount of light that's reaching the sensor. So if you have 11 stops, so now from black to your highlight of dynamic range, if you have 15, that's more. You just kind of want as much information as possible.
Just make it really easy for you, and that's this. And that is if you got a really bright window in the shot and you got a really dark person sitting in the corner under a light, then you've got to have a dynamic range that's going to hold everything from the really bright light to the really dark area. And so if you get 15 stops, it's going to hold that area more. If you can get 20 stops, it'll even be better. Which eventually
why stop there?
Why stop there? It's November and time for a new giveaway. We're giving away 5 SKB cases. These are worth $200 each. Go to theslantlens.com. We're going to have 5 lucky winners this month. They'll be thankful. Trends from the trenches. What does Ken want to talk about? Actually, Ken wanted to talk about something else, but we told him he couldn't talk about what he wanted to talk about, so he had to talk about something else, and it became...
Heads for tripods.
He's so excited about the heads
I am. I actually, you know what? This is...
Hold that enthusiasm down there, Ken.
I hate to tell you, but I get a lot of people asking about it, going, well, what do I need? What do I want?
Absolutely. Look at all this menagerie of stuff on here,
Well, you're right. You got video and you got still. And everybody has been doing a lot of video stuff, but unfortunately there's not a lot of heads out there that actually cross both realms.
There's not a great solution out there.
There's actually only one solution that I'm still really aware of, which is made by Manfrotto. And it's not an inexpensive head. I mean, it's pretty pricey, but mind you, that will go vertical for your vertical shots for stills, and it will keep horizontal, and it's a video fluid head, so it actually has the fluid motion, video heads and still heads. So you first got to figure out, okay, what am I going to do? Do I want to record video or do I want to record stills? The video side, we really need to have a fluid head, which actually, specifically if we're panning and tilting the camera, there's actually a fluid inside, and Lars really wants to know about...
I just want to know the mechanics of it. Like, how does fluid create resistance that makes my shot smooth? Like, I understand that when I look for a tripod head, I look for a fluid head, right? That's just like the catchword. But what is it really? Is it water? Like,
no, it's like an oil. It's like an oil.
An oil.
Yeah. It's like an oil-based oil, usually encapsulated inside the head in the gears. So it actually, or the pivot motions, and it actually adds resistance to the actual panning.
So how good is this little Benro small head? Because I just traveled and I put that great big old Benro head in
the S4 is awesome for a DSLR.
Is it?
Yeah.
Because I would love to have something small like that. Yeah.
But you don't have on this particular one, and this is where some of the better heads will give you more options. Like this one only has really the fluid motion and resistance control. As I smack Lars here, within the tilting side.
So it doesn't have pan.
I have pan, but I don't have the ability of changing the resistance.
That's fine.
So I have to kind of jump up to the S8 model within the
So
system
if you take
to
the
do
resistance off, it's just a matter of
There's
still
just
resistance
locking
there.
in.
There still
'Cause
has
it's
resistance,
fluid. It's a
resistant.
fluid resistance.
but
yeah.
you can't control how much
For
or how
something
little.
simple, I'm on location, I got to do some
Oh, this is
BTS,
great.
this is perfect.
For like
Yeah.
a 5D with a
$133.
2470. Yeah, it'd be
Yeah,
awesome.
not expensive at all, but
Nope.
it does what you need it to do. It will not go vertical.
Right.
Well,
So
yeah, I understand.
there's
It's a video
there's
head.
one of the other things. It's a video head. So that's where we get into the still tripod heads. When we're working with still tripod heads, now we've got to figure out, do we want a ball head or do we want a pan tilt head? Pan tilt heads, or what they call three-way pan tilt heads, you'll have independent movements for each of your axes. So I can change my movement for my vertical or horizontal.
Okay.
I also have the ability of tilting forward and back.
So two
I
different
can
handles
change.
you got to do.
I have two different handles, and then I have a third handle that's going to allow me to do my pan. Now, there's one that's made by Enduro here, which is actually a five-way image axis, or a five-way pan tilt head. And the advantage of that one, I actually gain an extra couple too right on top. So I actually have my standard three ways, but then on the top I actually have a rotation here, which is 4, and then on the plate I can actually shift that forward and back. So if I wanted to do 360 panoramics or so, I can find the nodal point with using a longer plate.
Oh, that's nice.
Nodal point is where the image is specifically flipped when it comes to your
Which is usually
panning.
at the film plane, right? No.
Some regards, sometimes yes, sometimes no. Sometimes it's at the front of the lens, sometimes it's
Okay.
at the middle of the lens, depends on where the axis is.
Okay.
So it is different on a lot of things. But yes, if you get your film plane directly on here, a lot of times you can do 360 or cylindrical shooting. But if you want to go spherical shooting,
Oh, I see.
then you got to actually find out where the nodal is on the actual lens. But this one does allow you to do those full axes. Now, that goes to then ball heads.
So what's the disadvantage? Before we go to ball heads,
Okay,
so
I'm sorry.
advantage is we have an adjustment for each tilt, pan.
It's very precise,
okay.
but slow.
Slow.
So if I'm trying to do architectural shooting, any type of product photography, if I'm doing landscape photography, pan tilt heads are actually really one of the best to do and to work with. If we're trying to do quicker stuff, fashion, or if I want to try to keep a smaller package along with me, so I don't want to have like these handles, for instance, these are unwieldy a lot of times and they don't fit in a bag very well. Some manufacturers have come up with a solution like this one where I can actually unscrew the handle and I can actually fold it
That's
down.
an Enduro?
This is an Enduro.
What's the Enduro, the number?
PHQ1.
And what's the
And
price
they have-
point, more or less?
This one's right around about 200 or so, if I remember right.
So the handles all collapse.
The handles collapse
That's
on it, so
nice.
it makes it a smaller package.
Yep.
Manfrotto came up with their X series head, which allows you to actually push the handles into the body, which gives it a little bit lower profile again for a bag. So they've done similar thing. The ball heads, the next one, you actually have a single ball joint basically, and when you release the head, you have full movement on it, as Lars had really locked this up on me. So,
It's nice.
yes, you did a good job.
It's fun.
So you can go vertical, you can go
You
horizontal.
can go vertical, you can go horizontal, you can go anywhere, and with one lock, one knob, I can lock the whole head so it doesn't move either.
That's perfect.
So,
What's the weight limitation to some of these ball heads?
well, that depends. It'll range in values. I mean, like the one you have in your hands
yeah.
might only be around 10 pounds to 15
What's the one you have in your hand
pounds.
so we know what we're talking about?
Well, this is
the BH2.
This is a BH2 by Benro.
Okay.
That's a inexpensive head to work with. They have specific plates involved, which I'll describe in a
plate
minute.
thing, and the nice thing about when you get into this is that this uses a Manfrotto plate that's kind of slowly becoming a bit of a standard, in the industry. So you can use a Manfrotto plate, either a short or a long plate, and it's going to work on the Benro, it's going to work on Manfrotto, it's going to work on other platforms.
Well, that's on the video side, but on
the
the
video
still
side.
side, we've actually gone to like this
Arca?
Arca Swiss plate
Arca
style.
Swiss is great.
Arca Swiss style plates, there's about 5 or 6 different manufacturers that use them, so there's a lot of different companies that are playing with them. Unlike some specifics like the Benro here, and even Manfrotto too.
Yeah.
Manfrotto, you have to use a Manfrotto plate, which there's nothing wrong with that. There's a lot of businesses and companies like us, we always stock those plates, or we really try to. On occasion we've run out, but it's very rare.
The problem with that though is, for me, is if I've got several cameras and several tripods and everything, it starts to be like, okay, I got a bag with 6 different plates in there, you know, and it drives me crazy. And then I don't have the one I actually need, you know. And
Ball heads again, you've got the ability of doing quick action, very easy to maneuver itself, so you can move it into any angle with very simplistic design, because it's like you said before, one release and one lock. Now, some of the better ones will have actually another control knob, and that will actually be for friction control. So I can actually increase or decrease the friction on the head too.
Yeah.
So I can be more precise. I can be better precision.
it doesn't just fall over when you release it.
Right,
Yeah.
and that actually can be sometimes detrimental, because then the lens crashes into the actual tripod itself.
I have to talk about this before we go on any
Don't
further.
want to talk about that.
Ken hates this.
I
Ken
don't
hates
like
this,
those.
but I love them. I actually love the version that I have that Vanguard makes. Yeah. Vanguard makes a great one of these. It's all in one. So you have your ball head, you release it right here when you grab it, and I can just quickly do whatever I want with this thing.
The reason
it's so
why
fabulous.
I don't like those,
Why don't you? Because they break.
the load capacity
It's
is
so
so low.
It is
and
true.
a lot of people overweight that thing so quickly.
But it's got a friction knob, Ken.
Yes, it does. But load capacity is really the key when it comes to any of these heads.
I think it's
So,
fabulous. I've never had any
if you
trouble with the
want-
Mark IIIs on them, ever.
But with what lens?
Well, even with the 2470.
Or 7200.
And how new
7200.
was the head?
7200.
How
Yeah.
new was it?
Well, as long as it look, here's
See,
the deal.
Here's the thing.
Okay,
Here-
here's the deal.
Gonna say.
Here's the deal. They are not as durable, and they lose their friction a little bit. Although my Vanguard one has been very good. But for me, because of the ease of use and the speed, I'd buy one of these every couple of years just to have that ease of use and speed, because it is so fast. It is so
long
fast.
as
I'm not grabbing 3 handles and trying to make this thing work. It drives me crazy.
If you don't overload it, it'll last a lot longer. That's really the
Yep.
key behind it. And I do like it for that.
So
If
what's the
you're
weight
going
limit then?
Well, it's only around 11 pounds.
So you
11
can
to
get a Mark III
11,
with a
12.
7200 for 11,
Okay.
12 pounds. Can't you?
I love loading stuff up so much like you just did. I always tell
Good.
people,
It'll work great.
if you're buying
if you
a
put your
head,
grandma's little point and shoot on
you're
it.
buying a head, you want it to have about 3 to 4 times the load capacity above what you're putting on it.
Okay,
and you
so
didn't even
that
listen to
makes
that.
it. Yeah, no, you say you should have 3 times the load capacity.
Yes,
So if you're putting
because
11
if you
pounds
wanted
on it,
to-
it should be a 33-pound head.
Yes.
That does make sense on some level.
So-
But I'm the opposite. I'm the guy who puts.
Yeah.
If it's 11 pounds, well, let's put 30 pounds on there. It'll be fine.
You could probably put 15 pounds on it, you're fine. Yeah.
For a few
We're
times,
pushing the edge.
sure.
I tried
Well,
that with
that's-
some of my cinema
that's-
cameras at first.
And people do it. It's done.
Yes,
You know,
all
okay,
the
if they're
time.
brand new, they'll be okay for that. But if you keep doing that, it's not going to last. It's not going to hold up. As you just said, you replaced yours how many times? You know, every couple of years you're replacing it.
Well, yeah, if you're using them a lot, you'd have to replace them. But man, the ease of use is so nice.
Well, and that's good. I mean,
But
going
I don't
into
love
that, you
this
understand
because
that.
a ball head, I've got to grab my camera and release this. And with this, I just grab one knob and I've got the camera and everything in one motion.
They're quick. They're fast. I love them for that aspect, but people abuse the whole style behind it, and they think that that's the save all
Again,
for everything.
It's got a friction knob right here.
So one thing I didn't talk about on the 3-way pan tilt side is a geared head. Now,
Oh.
a lot of people don't realize that, you know, okay,
don't think
for
I've ever
product
seen a geared
photography
head.
and things like that, you actually have a geared motion built into this. So I can do very,
Very precise without having to like
You
loosen everything
got
and flop
So
all
it just
over the place.
slowly moves it
moves.
into place.
Now,
cool.
you can do it quick, so I can quickly move it
Yeah.
to around the location, lock it in,
then
and
gear
then
it
I can gear it back.
Wow.
So
Who makes this?
this one is
Manfrotto.
Manfrotto. They have about 3 different styles of this within load capacities again and weight design.
Ooh, I like this. This makes sense to me. All this, like, from a video standpoint, I'm going like for video. You know, you go okay, like there's bigger heads, and you've got like 7. You know, you have all these different things to dial in. But then I'm looking at the photo stuff, and I'm thinking, aren't they all just
You
kind of
want to
seem the
switch into
same?
photo, don't you? It's okay.
Well,
You
no, I'm saying-
we'll accept you.
I'm saying they just like all look the same to me. You know, and it's like,
No, they're very different. I mean,
yeah.
this is more traditional, the double handles. The Gitzo tripod I started off with has the 2 handles and then one to give you the pan. And you know, but you're always making the adjustments.
I love this.
But it's a method. This feels more like studio. I'm going to dial it in.
Well, and that was the key. When you're trying to do any type of real critical and precise work, that's what you want to use. If you got monopods, a lot of people want to put heads on monopods. Well, you can do a simple quick flip to just go vertical a lot of times within your system.
That's nice.
So these are really inexpensive, but work out very well too. So I mean, there's a lot of offshoots from these things, but the biggest thing I always get is I want to do an overhead shot. I want to shoot something over the top of something else. So a lot of times I'm asking them, okay, well, what camera do you got? How tall do you want to be? I mean, I've actually told people to rig it with 2 ladders, a pole, or a a pipe going between the 2 ladders, and then a
This
Mayford
becomes
clamp.
a tripod.
This will become your tripod. Absolutely.
We've done that many times. We put
Many
a camera
times.
up in the corner or something.
Or even overhead, you just
Overhead.
get
Get a
like
little hex nut.
time-lapse thing, yeah.
Hex
A hex
nut.
nut?
This has
Yeah.
got a 3/8 and a quarter 20 thread on it. 3/8 is typically what all these heads will use for a connection point. So the 3/8 will screw right into this base. Now this will screw directly onto the actual clamp. Now I can put this anywhere I want. So I have a lot of flexible options then within where can I put it.
Well, we've done this. This is where I love, if I'm going to use something like this, you're going to put a super clamp up and you're going to put a spud on it. I want a small ball head. So just a smaller ball
Something like
head.
this even.
You know, that one's a,
Well, that
it's
one's
not a
really-
ball head. So just the ball head like this, a bend roll, but something even smaller now will hook onto this setup. And now you can release that and you can get that camera wherever you want it. And that's really nice.
So there's a bunch of different types of clamps. I mean, you have like the mini clamps that you can utilize. Just remember and be, conscious of load of what you're using and where you're putting it.
Yeah.
The last thing you want to do is have your camera falling off too.
That is true.
So,
Don't want that too much.
and that's where load capacity is really key. So there's a lot of different clamps that you can get. If you want to get a really low profile shot, you can buy just a basic leg set like this. And this will actually go right onto one of these heads.
Kidding.
Absolutely. 3/8 to 3/8.
Great.
Now, if you're trying to do a unique angle with the camera, trying to go vertical or such,
Not gonna work.
this probably won't hold it because you've got too much top
much
heaviness.
weight, yep.
Now, you might want to put a little small sandbag on it, etc. We've got shot bags that work really well. The BOA bags from Matthews are excellent because they can wrap around something.
I would suggest in this whole world, when you start having multiple heads, like a ball head, different heads, is make sure you get a quarter 20 to 3/8 inch adapter sleeve, so you can, if you get something that doesn't
Keep
work,
those
you can have,
on
yeah.
your keychain.
Yep.
You don't lose it.
Great keychain.
You just put it
Good
right on
idea.
your keychain. It's a 3/8 to quarter 20. It's a bushing adapter.
Yep.
Those bushings are fantastic, and you're right.
Just a small little thing.
You were addressing the problem of having one style plate, or at least having multiple plates.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of the manufacturers will, like Manfrotto, for instance, will sell a receptor and the plate, which now this is the same plate as what you're using on the
I
Benro.
put one of these on the glide cam.
Yep.
Makes it so
My
easy
shoulder
to take
rig
it
and my
off
glide
and put it
cam
on.
and my tripods all
Yeah,
have the
these-
Manfrotto.
These things are
standard,
indispensable for a user, especially if you're
Are these
trying
made
to
by
do.
Manfrotto?
This
How
one in
expensive
particular
are
is
they?
this is
35
around 40
bucks.
bucks.
Yeah.
40 bucks, and these actually came down in price.
They don't come with a 3/8. That's
No,
interesting.
they're not coming with 3/8 anymore.
So that's why the price is down.
What do you
Well,
mean?
they don't come
Oh, they
with
don't
the
come
3/8
with-
pin. They come with
with a
actually the
bushel.
bushing for you.
Which I don't like.
Well, that's fine. You know what? We sell the 3/8
Yeah.
pins, so you can buy that too. So that's not a problem. They usually come in a twin pack too.
Yeah.
So then,
Interesting.
if you lose one,
Yeah, you can get the 3/8. That's another thing you should have, is you should have on hand 3/8 and
You still have the
quarter
ability.
20.
See, I
Spud.
love that on these you can actually screw in the extra quarter 20 or the extra 3/8
Save it.
plate.
Back
They
on
have
the tripod
just
heads.
about everybody does
Right
it.
there.
Well, thanks, Ken.
That was really good information.
If you guys want to buy any of these tripod heads, you can go to sammys.com/slantedlens to buy them.
Pick yourself up a head, a bushing, or a small tripod.
and if you come on down, say hello, say you saw it on there too.
Yes,
we
please
appreciate
tell
that.
the people at Sammy's when you drop in.
Yeah.
Absolutely, that you've seen things on the channel, that you are part of the Slanted Lens Nation. So this is JP Morgan,
And Lars Lindstrom.
and this has been Trends from the Trenches for the month of November.
And this month, we're thankful for you.
We are thankful for you. Thank you for all your support and all you do to help make us grow and to make this worthwhile. So
Keep those
thank you.
cameras rolling.
And keep on clicking. So don't forget, you need to go to sammys.com/slantedlens. Click on the things that they have there, explore that, see if there's things to buy or of interest to you. That's what's going to keep us on the air.
I have very much enjoyed coming to Sammy's and filming these Trends from the Trenches. I hope it's valuable information for you. I hope it's entertaining. It's entertaining for us, certainly. And so we'd like to continue doing it.
Absolutely. So check out sammys.com/slantedlens. Also check out our YouTube channel, The Slanted Lens.